Pinpoint Weather University, sponsored by Gaston Roofing.
Welcome into Pinpoint Weather University. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here for Queen City News Plus, and we've got a jam-packed episode of Pinpoint Weather University headed your way right now. We're talking about the major earthquake that happened off the coast of Russia, the tsunami alerts that came with it, and why that earthquake occurred. We're also talking about the heat dome that has been leading to some historic heat here in the Carolinas. We'll talk about just how historic this heat stretch has been. Plus, we're speaking with the Citizens Climate Lobby. They raise awareness for climate change, and they actually have about 500 chapters across the world, not just here in the U.S., but also internationally as well. And they're a climate change awareness group, nonpartisan group. We'll chat with them coming up in the next couple of segments, talking about their group and a new award that they've created as well, and who they're awarding with that award this year. Let's start with the earthquake. Massive earthquake Tuesday night. As we're recording this Wednesday morning, July 30th, the tsunami threat seems to kind of settle down a little bit, but this was a scary, scary situation last night. This is a look off the coast of Russia, the far east coast of Russia here. You can see some of the tsunami waves that were coming in. I don't recommend videotaping like this. This is extremely dangerous, but you can see those waves crashing into the far east coast of Russia there. The boat just pretty much being just dragged. Even some of the little bit of a bridge there that's kind of out to the pier, even that's being kind of taken out there. So these tsunami waves can be extremely strong and very dangerous. So anytime you have the threat of a tsunami for your area along the coast, you want to get to higher ground immediately. You want to do it as soon as possible. And we saw that in Hawaii yesterday with some of the traffic. I'll show you that in a second. I want to show you another clip here. I'll take this one full. You can see kind of the far east Russian coast there, inundated with water, and a lot of water just kind of causing a lot of damage there along the far east coast. As this earthquake happened, it produced those tsunami waves, and we saw those off the coast of Russia, off the coast of Japan as well, and also off the coast of Hawaii and even the U.S. West Coast. We saw some smaller tsunami waves, but this is a more impactful one off the far east coast of Russia. I also want to show you video from Japan. It's a little off in the distance there, but you can see some of the tsunami waves coming into the coast of Japan there. Scary scene there. I mean, even though it's not massive, it's not the 2011 tsunami waves that we saw, but these are still pretty impactful along the coast and can cause a lot of beach erosion, can cause issues with boats and different things you might have on the coast. You can see it there. I mean, that's pretty high waves there. It's coming in from that tsunami. So definitely was concerning. And I'll tell you what, it was so concerning that Hawaii had major traffic jams. Take a look at this. Folks are just trying to get out of Dodge, trying to get out of the way. Look at all these cars really packed up, just trying to get to higher ground. Folks are vacationing in Hawaii. They're taking in the beautiful scenes over there. And then all of a sudden, you're getting on your phone, boom, 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 big alert. Tsunami potentially headed your way. Got to get out of the way immediately. And that's what happened, all the traffic jams there. So very scary scene there. Now, obviously, this was a massive earthquake. It was actually tied for the sixth worst earthquake in the world. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the notes with this earthquake. I want to pull some up for you, full screen for you. We'll take it. We'll talk about some of the notes with this. So Tuesday's earthquake, it happened off the coast of the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia. Sixth largest earthquake on record. It's the largest earthquake since 2011 Japan, the 2011 Japan earthquake that obviously caused the significant tsunami that will always be talked about in history. Now, it was very shallow, too, and a shallow earthquake leads to a higher tsunami risk because the energy is released closer to the surface. So I want to show you kind of what that looks like. So when a tsunami is forming, you essentially have the plates are pressing together, and eventually that energy is released. That stress between the plates is released, and that energy travels upward, and it expands in all directions there along the ocean floor. So you essentially get these very small waves that are traveling hundreds of miles at almost the speed, if not faster than the speed of a jet engine, faster than a jet plane, at speeds over 500 miles per hour. These tsunami waves are traveling. But again, they're small waves. However, when they get close to land, the ocean depth, it actually decreases. So what ends up happening is the smaller waves, they don't have as much area to put that energy because the depth of the ocean is a lot shorter, a little bit more shallow. So you get a series of waves just building up along the coast. The waters are receding from the coast as well. And then eventually the waves get larger and they're just kind of forced upward as they reach the shallow seafloor there, creating that larger wave. And those waves inundate those areas on shore. And those waves, depending on how powerful they are, they can spread pretty far inland. So let's talk about the earthquake itself. This earthquake happened right in the Pacific Ring of Fire, and that is pretty much along what we call the Pacific Tectonic Plate. Now, the Pacific Tectonic Plate, it moves during the year northwest very slowly, but it moves during the year to the northwest, and it collides with a plate called the Akha Plate. A little hard to say, but it's actually named after a sea between the Kamchatka Peninsula and the Russian mainland, the Akusic Plate. That's the long name for it, but you can make it short for Akha Plate. And what ends up happening is these two plates, they're colliding together, right? So the Pacific plate is colliding together. It's getting pressed down by the ocean floor, and it's going underneath the Akha plate or the acoustic plate. And what ends up happening is that Pacific plate just slips, and you get this thrust upwards. So it's kind of what we call a subduction zone when you've got one plate going under another. And it just kind of shoots upward, and it creates that thrust. This is what we call a mega thrust quake is what we call that. So again, that allows from that ocean energy to just really spread out and really cause significant issues. So kind of want to show you what it looks like. You've got your earthquake, 8.8 magnitude earthquake, 6th largest in the world, at least tied for 6th largest. And then as that energy is pressed up against the seafloor there, or the ocean floor, you've got these tsunami waves just spreading throughout the Pacific, and that's what leads to those threats for the tsunami. Now, I will mention, we didn't really have any major impacts in Hawaii. The Kahului, a little tough name to say, 5.7 feet was the tsunami waves there, and a 4.9 foot wave heading through Hilo. So yeah, those are tall. Those are big time issues if you have any boats and things along the coast, but no major waves causing catastrophic impacts, which is really, really good news for Hawaii and also off the coast of the west coast of the U.S. Now, we've talked about the earthquake a little bit. I do want to talk about the heat dome that has been seriously taking over the eastern U.S. This heat dome, it's been in place for a while now, and essentially this dome of heat is like putting a lid on a pot as it's cooking. So as you're cooking, right, you're putting your lid on your pot, it's trapping in that heat. High pressure is just trapping in the heat. Air can't rise and escape. It just kind of sinks down and gets stagnant. So as that air gets stagnant and kind of stays in place, that heat can't go anywhere. So the heat is just locked in. It can't get away from us. And I like to compare it to whenever air is sinking, it compresses. And I like to compare it to when you're putting air in your bicycle tire. You're using that pump. And as you're pumping the air in, what happens to that pump? It gets hot because we're compressing the air. And that's essentially what's happening in the atmosphere. Quite the stretch here in Charlotte. We had 3 straight days of 100 degrees or higher. That is tied for the 5th longest streak of 100-degree days consecutively. 101 on Saturday was a record high. 102 on Sunday, not a record high, but it was close, only 1 degree off with a record of 103. And then Monday, we had 101 degrees, just 1 degree off the record of 102. Want to give a shout out to everybody that was out 24 hours of booty, bicycling in triple-digit weather. Consecutive days above 100 degrees, the most we've ever seen in history in Charlotte, is actually 5. 1986 is when we saw that. That was the hottest stretch we've ever seen in Charlotte history. And then 5th, 3rd, 3 straight days, 2025. But we've also had 3 straight 100-degree days in Charlotte history 8 more times. Now, 100-degree days happen. They do happen in Charlotte. We had 5 in 2015. Then we went 6 straight years without any. And then 2022, we had 1. 2024, we had 1. 2025, we had 4. Let's talk about just how crazy the stretch has been. We've had 23 days as of Wednesday morning, July 30th, of 90-degree heat. That is tied for 4th longest streak of 90 degrees or higher. We've also been above 70-degree days, as recorded this Wednesday morning, July 30th, of 70 degrees or higher. We have not dropped below 70 degrees in well over a month. That's a record for the longest streak. And we are seeing more of these extreme heat streaks. When you look at this research from nonprofit group Climate Central, From 2010 to 2022, we're seeing 6 or 7 now more streaks when it comes down to 90 degrees or more. So obviously our summers are getting warmer and we're seeing more extreme heat because of that. And that's going to lead well into our next segment. We've got the Citizens Climate Lobby that's going to be joining me. We're going to be talking about how they're raising awareness for climate change, a new award they've created, and who they're awarding with the Climate Champions Award this year. All coming up next here on Pinpoint Weather University on Queen City News Plus. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here with Queen City News Plus. We've been talking about the hot stretch of weather we've been dealing with here in the Charlotte area. And when it comes down to our summers are getting warmer as a whole. When you look at research from nonprofit group Climate Central, also research from NOAA here, since 1970, our summers here in Charlotte have warmed by 2.6 degrees, so over 2.5 degrees of warm up for our summer seasons here in Charlotte. And a big part of that warming has to do with the release of greenhouse gases, which is allowing our earth to continuously warm up here. And that is why Charlotte and many other cities and states across the country are continuing to experience warmer summers. And that is a big concern because with warmer summers, you also get more heat-related illnesses. And with hotter temperatures and also more moisture that we're able to hold with hotter temperatures, that leads to some of those heavier downpours and some more of those catastrophic floods that we've been seeing during the summer season as well. So climate change, it's here, it's real, and we have a big group here across the U.S. called the Citizens Climate Lobby. I want to show you some pictures from them here. They are a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots advocacy climate change organization. They have hundreds of chapters, not just here in the United States, but internationally, and they are raising awareness for climate change. I'm joined now by Mark Taylor and Chelsea Madsen here with me today, members of Citizens Climate Lobby. And we're going to chat about your group, guys. Thanks so much for coming on the show with us today.
Yeah,
good to be here.
So, Chelsea, we'll start with you. Why is your group so important? What is the main goal of your organization?
Well, we really try. What our goal is to preserve a healthy climate for a livable world. And in doing that, we really focus on stopping the warming of the planet as much as possible, or slowing it down, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and also supporting the transition to clean energy like solar and wind.
You guys have a lot of pictures here that you'd sent over as well. Just kind of want to show some of those in full. You guys have done a lot of traveling, a lot of different moving around. You've been to D.C. to do lobbying, or you've been to Raleigh. You would see Charlotte doing local meetings. Mark, what kind of awareness, how does this travel help you guys raise awareness for your program?
Well, we raise awareness in a few different ways. We're doers. We do grassroots, we table, we do presentations, we talk to people and let them know how to contact their congressman for various important legislation. We get in the media, we do letters to the editor, op-eds, social media. We have our national podcast, Citizens Climate Lobby, and we do occasionally TV and radio like now, and we go to D.C. and Raleigh and speak to our lobbying issues and educate not just the public, but our lawmakers, because a lot of the lawmakers really don't know the nuances of their laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can speak to how powerful it has been for me to travel to D.C. 2 years in a row now for lobbying. And I know last year and this year we had over 800 volunteers from chapters around the country come to D.C. Yeah. And it makes it so much more real to be in a representative's office, meeting with them or their legislative assistant. It's like, oh, wow, I can speak to these people directly, bring up these issues.
And just last Tuesday we were there. We had over 400 congressional meetings. Mm-hmm. And I think that's significant. And we speak to everybody, Democrats, Republicans, independents, anybody that will open their door to us, we talk to them.
Yeah, and that is a big part of your group. Climate change is mostly viewed nowadays as a very democratic or liberal ideal, but you guys are a nonpartisan group. You don't lean one way or the other. Why do you guys feel like that's so important for you guys as a group?
I think it is very important. That's what makes us unique as an environmental group. We're nonpartisan and we emphasize shared values rather than partisan divides. We go for like this last week. We emphasize affordable, reliable, abundant, clean energy with a strong economy and increased jobs. And who doesn't want that?
Yeah, and you guys have been doing this for a long time. You guys have been around for a long
Yeah.
time. When was your group founded?
Gosh, I think in around the '05, but give or
Yeah.
take a couple years.
And with the group being around that long and raising awareness for that long, it's important to continue to raise awareness for a problem that we've been seeing for years. Why is your group so important for folks that might not follow climate change a lot or might not have heard or just now hearing it from you guys for the first time? Why do you guys feel like your group is so important to us here as a country?
Well, we're citizens who do lobbying for climate, like our name says. And so we are the citizens, the consumers, the workers, the voters, actually. And we lobby. And most, I think, in D.C., for instance, hear from the pros, the professional, well-paid lobbyists from the biggest corporations. And if we're not there as citizens to say our views and point out our important values, then they see only the corporate side.
Yeah. And to add, I think when people are passionate about climate change and environmental advocacy, sometimes engaging in the political side of things can feel so intimidating and daunting. And this organization provides training for lobbying meetings and skills and an opening for how to wrap your head around the policy dimension of climate change and how that can really make a difference.
You guys talked about that face-to-face connection too that you get with your lawmakers. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're getting a good response to some of the change you're trying to make when it comes down to seeing lawmakers going to DC? Do you guys feel like people are really hearing you?
Well, I think depends on the politician, of course, and I think we never have people say we're not seeing this group again. We are so open-minded. We speak with respect and trust, and I think that resonates with the politician, regardless of their stripe. And I think it's some people love us, and nobody hates us.
Well, and I'll say that we really focus on relationship building, and not everything is going to get covered in one lobby meeting, but we can open up the opportunity to build a relationship with that office. And for example, I was in a lobby group for a Republican representative in DC recently, and the legislative assistant stated that they just genuinely didn't understand why tax credits and subsidies were important to support clean energy. And it was a cool moment of like, oh, maybe there is an information gap and maybe there's an ongoing conversation that could be had beyond this lobby meeting. And it's a really cool opportunity to start that.
Yeah, I'll add, it's really it's shocking how these legislators and their aides sometimes don't know what's in their bill, and we provide a counterpoint.
Yeah, it's the education part of it. Now, are there any bills right now that you guys are actively seeking to be pushed through?
Well, there's a couple things we're doing. In this last bill on the budget, a lot of things were cut, including research and development in energy. And we think that that's just a horrible thing to go. If climate change is to be mitigated, we need more technology, more science, more answers to the energy question. And so we were advocating to return those funds for research and the next generation of energy.
Now, you're referring to the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
That was just passed through. So, guys, you guys have created a cool award, the Climate Champions Award. We're going to talk about what that award is, why you guys have created on the other side of the break coming up here in just a bit. Thanks again for coming on the show with us. We'll have more of the Citizens Climate Lobby coming up here in just a moment. We're going to talk about the Climate Champions Award. You definitely want to stick around for this one. Somebody in the room's getting it. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. I am meteorologist Brandon Lawson here on Queen City News Plus. Still have Mark Taylor and Chelsea Matson with me today for the Citizens Climate Lobby. And before we went to break, we talked a little bit about the Climate Champions Award. It's a new award that you guys just created. You want to talk about what that award is?
Well, Citizens Climate Lobby honors special meteorologists who do exceptional work in educating the public on climate change. And you're the guy. You're the best in Charlotte.
Yeah. So we just thank you for your outstanding and courageous work educating the public on climate change in TV, social media, and public events. And it helps us understand what causes it, how it impacts us, and what can be done to address it. And it helps us make our best informed decisions with local and national policies. And we just think that you're an inspiration to current and future broadcast meteorologists in taking an active role about climate change, not shying away from it. So just thank you for the work that you do, and very well deserved.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much. And
You're welcome.
It's an honor. And, you guys you send me emails a lot talking about some of the different things, especially Mark. Mark was, I saw this new climate thing come up. I think this would be really cool to present. And, I'll use some of those ideas and just kind of show our viewers the award here. Here it is. Nice plaque. We did do a little picture beforehand too. We'll kind of show those pictures here. I'll pull like that slide up for you here. We'll show those. This is the clips from that, just the pictures we took together just before the segment. And I do appreciate you guys. Climate change, it's something that a lot of folks, I feel like, are uneducated on still. We know what it is. We know it's real. We know it's happening. But there's a lot of different things that we still can educate the public on. We can still teach. We can still help folks understand. And Mark, I liked how you said in the last segment where you're talking about you'll go to lawmakers and you'll talk to people and they won't know what something means. And that gives you a chance. And Chelsea, you mentioned as well, having that face-to-face connection with people and talking with people and just how important it is. So I do appreciate this honor, guys. And again, why do you guys feel like creating this award was such an important thing for your group?
Well, we needed expertise. When we go engage in the public, sometimes they're skeptics and sometimes they just see us as strangers with weird opinions. And so we need experts, trusted messengers. And who is more trusted about climate and weather than meteorologists? So when we find somebody like you who actually uses science and educates the public, we drop what we're doing and give an award and celebrate and do that.
And last question for you guys here before I let you go. I just want to ask you, what is your message to those out in the public about climate change? Just like, what's that last message before we go off here about what people can take away, not only from this discussion, but from discussions with family, friends about climate change? What's the message that you have for folks that are seeking climate change awareness and trying to understand it a little bit more?
I think climate solutions are within reach if we act together with persistence, show the political will. I liken it metaphorically to climate change as being like a driverless bus careening down a hill headed for a horrible crash. But if we transition to clean energy quickly enough, we can grab the steering wheel, pump the brakes, and lessen the damage and survive for a more livable world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say, I know that it's overwhelming to think about it. And at the same time, finding some way to get involved, finding some way to be part of the solution, for me, has felt a lot better than ignoring it entirely. And it really is possible to work toward progress, even if it's not finding a complete, total solution, but progress in terms of slowing down the progression of climate change is worthwhile.
to tag that, it's been said that the antidote to climate anxiety and nervousness is climate action, and it's worked for me.
All right, guys. Mark Taylor, Chelsea Matson, thank you all so much for coming on the show, and thank you for the award. I mean, it means a lot. You know, we work hard here. I've got an incredible boss and just leadership team that allows me to spread climate change awareness and educate the public. And I appreciate you guys noticing that. And I thank you guys for what you do to also help lead the change when it comes down to climate change as well. Thanks for coming on the show with me today.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
That's going to do it for this edition of Pinpoint Weather University. Of course, we'll have a new edition of Pinpoint Weather University dropping every Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here on Queen City News Plus. Take care and take care of each other as we continue to navigate this heat of the summer together.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.